Do you ever feel like your partner is acting a bit more difficult lately, more bossy, cold, and more nagging? So most men are completely unaware that these are consequences of having failed test after test, and if you don't fix this fast, she's going to break up with you, man. So in this video, I'll show you what these tests are and how to pass them in a way that makes her not only want to stay with you, but also respect you and desire you more than ever. So to start, I'll show you the first way you'll be tested and how to pass it so she desires you more. So one of my clients is an investment banker and he worked with me to save his relationship because his partner and him were going through the exact same loop that sounded a bit like this. So if I say steakhouse, she will say, "Are you sure that's a good idea? Why don't we choose sushi?" And then I say, "Okay, let's do sushi." And then she'll say, "Really? Do you think that's the best spot?" And it feels like no matter what I choose, she pushes back and ends up deciding for us, and it drives me fucking nuts. So that's what my client said, and that is a classic example of a leadership test. And here's the thing, man. It's not even about the food. It's about something deeper that if you do not fix this, your relationship is doomed. So here's how I saved this relationship on one of the coaching calls, actually. So when my client shared with me the loop that I just described to you, I probed him. So here's what I asked him. Like, man, when didn't she start questioning these smaller decisions, actually? He said like a few months ago. And then I asked him, okay, well, leading up to those moments, what happens in the months prior? And that's exactly where the problem actually started. So here's what happened. A few months back, he actually failed to secure promotion to portfolio manager, right? And he suddenly changed. So he spent more time scrolling through social media late at night, and instead of working on his emails and trying to get that promotion the next year, and he also started skipping the gym more often. And when she encouraged him to get a personal trainer to keep him accountable, he said he'll look into it, but never did. So what do you think that communicated to her? He's the CEO of the relationship, and that CEO suddenly starts scrolling social media instead of working on the strategy or the vision, or he skips a meeting because it doesn't fucking feel like it. What does this convey? That his leadership cannot be trusted because this guy cannot even lead himself anymore. So why do you think this mistake is so costly in the context of a relationship? Because that directly violated her prime desire for masculine leadership. In the relationship, she views you as the CEO and herself as the COO. Now, when my client stopped being the CEO, she flipped from this feminine Aphrodite she used to be as a COO into this masculine boss babe Becky mode persona to protect herself and also fill the void that the CEO had created. Now, how do you demonstrate to her that she can trust your leadership again and she begs to sleep with you again? It's super simple, but many men won't actually do it. So it starts with internalizing the following model. Women are your mirror and they reveal where your masculine leadership is failing. This leadership test is an invitation to step up, rise, and get your fucking shit together as a man. It's the COO basically reminding the CEO of his duties in the company/relationship, man. So in second, you have to run an audit on your habits, man. When are you going to bed? How often did you skip training? How often did you drink more alcohol than you should have? How often did you spend more time on your phone than you actually wanted? So I personally use an Oura ring to track my vitals, right? It demonstrates that I take care of myself and that I am serious about it, man. Now, if you're improving your habits again, but she's still not dropping her Becky persona, it is most likely because you're failing this next test, which I'll explain using another of my clients as an example. So one of my clients unconsciously failed the second type of test every single day. Like on our onboarding call, he actually said, like, Gene, we used to have sex every single day, but for months now she refuses sex and now she's even threatening to leave. We've even been to couples therapy, but it just made it worse, man. So what is the real issue actually here? His weak masculine frame that triggered frame tests, which he failed every single time. So you might be wondering, okay, what is frame? So think of frame like a castle. She was testing the strength of the walls of the castle with her frame test. So for example, every time she denied him a kiss or rejected intimacy, his walls started shaking. Yeah, he became more needy. Okay, so you might be wondering, why did his frame get weak in the first place? Well, actually, a few months earlier, he had faced a huge setback at work. He lost a deal worth quite a lot of money, yeah? And he missed his bonus, and it shattered his self-confidence. He felt low, deflated, and unsure about himself. Now, that setback itself wasn't the problem. The problem was how he responded to it. Instead of processing that heavy defeat like a man, he slowly started acting like a Kevin. So after a few coaching calls where I probed him around his behavior around her, we discovered the actual problem. And it will blow your mind. Like every time he felt uncomfortable, he would walk to her for a hug. When she was answering emails, he'd interrupt her for affection. And when she was reading, he would ask for like cuddles. But here's the problem, man. Like there's fundamentally nothing wrong with wanting affection. But he wasn't doing it to give love. He was doing it to get validation. So to escape the pain of a crushed ego. That's not masculine love, man. That's Kevin behavior. It's the same way little boys run to their moms when they feel unsafe, right? And his partner, she felt this Kevinness in him. She lost trust in his frame because he started relying on her as a rock. And as a result, she flipped from this feminine Aphrodite she used to be into Marie, the ice queen. Now here's where it gets worse and where he failed the test again. To gain her approval and desire, he tried to overcompensate. He booked luxury trips and bought expensive handbags, hoping that would convince her to find him attractive again. But all it did was to reveal the cracks in his frame, because he conveyed that he was totally dependent on her validation. And one day after she rejected him again, he snapped. He blamed her for being cold, he yelled at her, he stormed out of the room and then slammed the fucking door. And that was the ultimate frame collapse, man. The castle metaphorically broke down. So that's when she threatened to leave if he did not fix this. And here's what you need to understand about women. Every time she rejected him and he reacted by yelling, begging, or demanding, he failed the test. Because in those moments, he destroyed all 4 primary desires every woman has. Safety, gone. Leadership, gone. Connection, gone. Fantasies, completely dead. And to protect herself, she doubled down in the Marie the Ice Queen, because she didn't feel safe around him anymore. So how do you actually pass this test and demonstrate that you aren't a little Kevin boy, but Hercules, a real man? There are 2 levels to this, man. Level 1, stay nonchalant. When she rejects you, you don't freak out. You don't explode. You view it as a rejection, not of your worth as a human being or as a man, but simply that her primary desires aren't met at this moment. When my exes rejected me back in the days, I fucking punched holes into the doors, man. And I only let go of this underlying, lingering anger by journaling every single day. Expressing my thoughts, expressing my feelings. So what's level 2? Never ever say, why don't you touch me anymore? Or show any signs of desperation, like never beg for affection, because this violates her primary desires for fantasies. A woman cannot desire a man she cannot look up to. And a man who begs for affection conveys that he is not in abundance of it. It actually disgusts her. Now, once you stay nonchalant and you develop a strong masculine frame, there's actually one more thing, especially high-achieving logical men get wrong. And this is the reason why so many women shut down in relationships, like slowly fade out and die. By the way, man, you've probably heard me mention names like Becky and Marie, and these aren't random names. They are actually part of my female archetype model that I've developed to help my clients decode women like an open book. So if you click the link in the description, you get a free video of those archetypes. Now let's get back to the video. Now the next test is the one actually that really fucks with a lot of men's head. Like, have you ever had your partner say, you don't get it? Or when you give her advice, she goes completely mad? With my ex-girlfriend Marie, I used to fail this test all the time. And I guess that's why she's my ex now, right? Anyway, so when she came home and complained about her job and the toxic manager at the bank that she was working at, I always did the same fucking thing. I said, why don't you start applying to new jobs? You can work at any investment bank with those credentials that you have. You could literally see her frustration and anger in her face. It was literally written all over her face, right? And in that moment, I failed what I call a competence test. I misread the situation because I viewed it through a logical lens. She has a problem, I give her a solution, problem solved. She will love me. But this test isn't about solving a problem. It's about connection, right? So when she vents, she's really asking, can I trust this man to sit with me, hear me, and understand me without rushing to fix it for me? When you don't do this, you violate her primary desire for connection and emotional safety. And you'll immediately become sexually unattractive to her because you don't get her. So obviously you're gonna ask yourself, okay, how do I pass this test? Simple. Listen without fixing. Let her vent. Nod along, make eye contact, just hold her, hug her. And if you want to take it to the next level, use a cold read to validate her. Say something like, oh, that sounds tough. I get why you're upset. Or you can just use a simple technique that I call mirroring back her feelings. So if she says, like, I don't know, my boss embarrassed me in front of everyone, you can just simply say, oh, that must have been humiliating. So what you're showing her in that moment is, I get you, I feel you, I'm here with you. And that's the entire point of the test. So once you're connected on a much deeper level, obviously you also want to connect again on a sexual level. And to do that, I've put together a video which shows you how to sexually arouse her like clockwork. Just click the video that's appearing on the screen somewhere.